Welcome to the Heartbreak to Happiness show with Sara Davison. If you're struggling with a breakup and you feel shocked, angry, betrayed, devastated, or sad and alone, then this podcast is for you. Best-selling author and award-winning host Sara Davison shares how you too can get on with your life to heal, grow, and move from heartbreak to happiness. Here's your host, Sara Davison.
To the show, and today my guest is Sara Al Madani. Sara is an Emirati multi-award-winning serial entrepreneur, and she started her first business at the age of 15. She has also been through 2 divorces from toxic ex-partners, and she's a single mum of a gorgeous little boy. And she's been taking him into the boardroom with her since he was born. Sara is also very well known for being a star in the Real Housewives of Dubai. So I am super excited to welcome Sara Al Madani to the show. Welcome, Sara.
Thank you for having me. It's a complete honor. Thank you so much.
Oh, no, the honor is all mine. And I'm super excited because I know that your story is going to really resonate and help so many of my listeners. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Happy to add any positive value, seriously.
No, I know. Thank you. So let's maybe start from the beginning, because you've had such an incredible journey. And at 15, you started your own business. So tell me, did you always know that you wanted to go into business?
Honestly, I don't know why I started my business at 15, but when I recall speaking to my parents about it, because my parents also didn't get it. They're like 15-year-old girls are playing with their dolls or outside building sandcastles. They're like, you were 15, what are you doing? So it was kind of a scary experience for my parents, especially to my dad, because my dad loved being the provider for the family. And when he felt like I was drifting away from that, it kind of like hurt him because he wanted to take care of his little girl, you know? But they told me when I was the age of 3, I used to massage family members for money. And then by the age of 5, I would buy candy and resell it to my cousins that couldn't go out to buy candy. So he said, you always had it in you. And when you ask me now that I go back to like when I was 15, I don't know why I did it. I just had a strong drive inside of me that just wanted to do it. But now, at the age of 37, when I recollect my memory, and I've done hypnotherapy, my aunt got divorced when I was 13, and I witnessed that. And back then it was a taboo to get divorced. But then I witnessed my aunt, single mom, divorced, no income. She was suffering, trying to get people to help her. The community and like around the family was shaming her for the divorce. So I think what I recollect is that me seeing my aunt go through that, I told myself I don't ever want to go through that one day. So that's why I think the base of the idea of being financially independent started. That's what I'm connecting when I've done hypnotherapy and all that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Do you think that things have changed over there now? Because I do think that, we have an image of Arab women being quite suppressed and maybe controlled still. Do you think things have changed over there?
1,000,000%. It's not the same anymore. Actually, women were never suppressed in the UAE, but I think the culture did not accept some things like divorce was like something frowned upon, or like it was like a taboo. So when a woman gets divorced, she feels like she's literally like, what do you say, a branch that's broken from a tree, so she's useless. But now there's a lot of support system for women, not only in the private life, but even in the business life, even in the private sector, the government sector. Women are continuously being supported, and divorce is not something that is looked down upon. And I've been divorced twice, and I speak about it very openly. And I feel like if more women talk about these things more openly, women who think it's not normal will start to feel like it's normal. You tried the pants, they didn't fit, you took them back to Zara. It's not a big deal.
I love that. I love it. And you just mentioned there, you obviously been divorced twice. Can you tell us a little bit about those relationships? Because they, like my experience was divorcing someone who was very abusive and toxic. And I think we have some
Yeah.
similarities in that, don't we?
Well, my experiences were both abusive, toxic, physical abuse, mental abuse. I was the financial provider. So I was forced out of my feminine and forced into my masculine while I was married because there was no one providing and the men were just waiting for me to do everything. So I feel like if I was to look back on my experiences, maybe at the beginning I was a victim because they pretended to be something they're not. But when they showed me who they are, I chose to stay. So I'm no longer a victim. I'm a victim of myself. And then, if you want to grow and learn, you got to stop pointing fingers at others and saying, oh, they did this, oh, they did that. And you got to look at yourself and you ask yourself, okay, it takes two to tango. Where did I go wrong? And when I self reflected and through healing and a long journey of self discovery, I realized that I had a pattern. Not only the men I was with have had a pattern, but I had a pattern of selecting men that are like that. And then, thank God, like healing helps a lot, hypnotherapy helps a lot. I went back and I realized that it was a trauma from childhood that I was trying to manifest as an adult. And I always believed that love was something hard and you had to do a lot to be accepted and loved. And whenever I was around men with that energy, toxic, and men who are takers and they suck you dry, it made me feel safe because it reminded me of an energy I had when I was a child. So, and that's where my flaw is, my mistake is. So instead of just like dwelling in my sorrow and sadness, I decided to look at my patterns, break my patterns, learn and grow as a person. Because I realized a lot of women, what they do is they blame the man and then they dwell on their
Yeah.
sadness and they feel like they're victims. But being a victim gets you nowhere. You got to be your superhero.
Yeah, and a lot of people listening to this will be in toxic relationships right now. That's something that a lot of my followers experience. And hearing your strength is amazing. Have you got any tips for how they can get to that? Because when you're in those relationships, your confidence is low because maybe you've been told you're worthless or you can't do something or you can't survive, or maybe you don't have any money to get out. Have you got any advice on how people listening right now can get their power back?
So it's very normal to be manipulated, to feel like you're worthless. I was there. That's why I stayed in one of the marriages. My relationship was 13 years because I completely believed the narcissistic husband. And he made me believe that I was not worth it. No one would want me but him. And I should be thankful to have him in my life. And I deserve everything bad that happens to me. And I fell for it. So I don't want any women out there to feel like they're stupid for falling for it. No, your other half, your partner is very manipulative and you have a good heart and a good mind. And when you have a good mind, you cannot be cautious because you cannot think like the other person, and you cannot prepare yourself for evil because you're not evil. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like when you're good, you think everyone's good. When you're bad, you think everyone's bad. So when you're good, you just keep on making excuses for people. You have wishful thinking that people will change. You put on your Bob the Builder hat and you want to just fix the person. But it's not a bad thing to be a person who wants to fix this as long as you're not fixing the man you're with. The man has to be a man that has done the work and ready for you. You can go around fixing anyone in the world. And once you feel like it's not working, you can walk away. But when it's a husband, you cannot walk away. Know your value. And I learned this, not, I didn't know this while I was in a relationship. I learned that later. It's never too late to learn. But part of learning is healing and forgiving yourself because you chose to be in those situations. Um, I think the moment I gained my strength was when I unlearned everything I was told by society, which is if you have a child, you got to stay in a marriage. If
Yeah.
you have a child, don't break the marriage, pretend. Don't get divorced, it's bad. You need a man. You can't go on financially without a man. I think the moment I unlearned and I broke that matrix that they built around me, and I was like, okay, I have a kid. I cannot do this anymore. I'd rather have no money. I'd rather be at my parents' house living with my friends until I figure things out. Um, Better than to be in a situation where I'm losing my mind and mentally I'm not in a good place. And we all know that mental problems manifest into physical diseases. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. My mom's friend was in a toxic marriage, stayed in a toxic marriage. She developed cancer. When she developed cancer, he was not there for her. She's very healthy. He was not there for her. She got cured and she developed cancer again. And if
Wow.
science hasn't proven to us already that cancer comes from nowhere and stress is a big factor. So I was like, I'm not gonna live one life living it like this. I'd rather be my hero than be a victim. And I would take my kid and I'll find a way. And there's always a way. So it's just a moment of gathering all your strength and saying, whatever I was told does not exist. I want to figure out what really is out there. And
Yeah.
it was just a moment of like unlearning everything I was told, and then just figuring out who I really am, and forgetting who
Yeah.
I was told to be. Yeah, it's okay.
That's
It's
incredible.
okay to be scared. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel like you've been manipulated. It's okay to feel like you've been taken for granted. This is all normal, okay?
Mm.
But the only thing you can do is believe in yourself, gather your strength, and go for it. Because any situation is better than the situation you're in.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying, such wise words. I hear a lot from clients and people that message me that they stay because of the kids. They seem to think that staying in those relationships is better for the kids to grow up with mom and dad. What are your thoughts on that, Sarah?
How do you think your narcissistic husband became narcissistic? Because his parents decided to stay, although it wasn't working, it was a toxic environment that flipped the switch to creating a monster as a child. Unless you are open to repeating the cycle and creating another version of your husband, stay for the kids. But the kids need a happy home, they need a healthy home. They're better off living with divorced parents than parents that are not getting together and pretending to be happy. A child needs a happy mom. He doesn't just need a mom. No matter how much you try to mask it or cover it, children don't learn by what you say, they learn by what they see. So if that idea of let's stay for the kids is still in your head lingering and you're feeling it's the right decision, it's the complete wrong decision. It's a decision created by society for society to control situations and to make staying in a broken home, a norm. It's like something normal. It's not normal. You have to leave. Your
Yeah.
kids need a loving home, not a toxic, fake home that's pretending to be loving.
Absolutely, absolutely spot on. I totally agree with you on that. And I do think that, you know, kids learn from us. We're their role models, right? So if they are seeing what love is and what marriage is, and it's dysfunctional or toxic, that's what they learn is what marriage is. And then they
Yeah.
repeat the patterns. But we also repeat the patterns, don't we? I mean, a lot of us have been not just in one toxic relationship, but two. And I know you got remarried again, didn't you? And went into another toxic relationship.
Yeah. My second husband was another version of my first husband, just in a different body. My third relationship was also similar traits, just in a different body. So, and that's when you wake up. You go like, hey, I have friends who are married to really good men, and the world has a mix of good and bad. Why am I always ending up with men with the exact same traits? And that's self awareness. And then you self reflect. And that's when I realized that was my issue, my problem. The only way to get out of the pattern or your cycle, and that doesn't mean you're a bad person. You're a good person. You're stuck in a toxic cycle, your own toxic cycle. The only way to break free is to heal, because knowing you have a cycle doesn't solve the problem. You cannot teach yourself something you never knew or learned. You need external help. So for me, I've done therapy, I've done hypnotherapy, I've done spiritual healing, which really, really changed my life. And spiritual healing and hypnotherapy, they take you back to the incident when you were a child where that switch flipped, and you
Uh,
started thinking in that certain way. When you go back there and you understand that, that's not how life is, this is not what you're supposed to do. And of course, there's a couple of techniques you have to practice and do with healing. That's the only way to break the pattern, because knowing is not doing. Just because I know I have a pattern, it doesn't mean I'm doing anything about it. It's just awareness. But awareness is not
Yeah.
complete until change takes place.
Yeah, I love that. And that going and finding the help, asking experts for help to recover, I think is spot on. Hypnotherapy, I love too. I trained in it. I think it's really powerful. When you talk about spiritual healing, what are you referring to with that specific therapy? How does that work?
Okay, I don't know if the world is ready to hear things like that, but spiritual healing is basically um, connecting with your higher self, your spirit, because that's where all your memories are stored. It's not your brain. It's not, it's, you know, like through a lot of research, scientists had made it clear that memories are stored in a person even when they're brain dead. So that only explains that your memories are not here. So most of the hypnotherapy we do is to heal issues. You know, why do I have certain illnesses in the body? Why do this? Why do that? And it works 100%. Like I had hypothyroid, and through hypnotherapy and spiritual healing, I learned that the reason my stress has manifested into a thyroid problem is because I was silenced for so many years. I couldn't speak about my problems. So it manifested into that. So spiritual healing takes you away from the body and connects you to the soul. And you go into a meditation state where you are in a very high state of meditation, where you access your subconscious mind, your spirit, and you understand what's aching your spirit. Why are you repeating the cycle? Because in the end, we are spiritual beings with a human experience. This body is a vessel. So we need to, you know, speak to the higher power, your spirit within. And that was, I feel like out of every therapy I've done in my life, spiritual healing is what really changed my life.
Oh, I'm really interested in that. I've not explored that. I've tried a lot of therapies. I suffered from PTSD after my
Yeah.
relationship ended, and I've tried everything that I can find here in the UK. Is that something you've done in Dubai then, the spiritual healing? Is that where you discovered it?
Yeah. So, like, it's obvious now to see, like, there's a huge shift in the world where a lot of people are becoming spiritual. You know, like, for me, spiritual healing in my religion, I'm Muslim, it was always mentioned, but indirectly, and people never focused on it. They just took it and created metaphors out of it. Now, with the new shift that's happening in the world, spiritual healing is packaged in a different way and in a more simplified way and more forward. So, my healers live in Bali, but they just moved to Dubai to spread that awareness in Dubai, you know? So it's something you can find online, but I really, really, how do I say it in a way without sounding sketchy? Okay, you might find a lot of spiritual healers online, but not all of them are 100% legit healers. Just like not every
Absolutely.
business person you meet is a legit business person. In the spiritual world, there is like a lot of people who are like, you know, thieves, or they'll try to rob you because you're in a vulnerable point where you need help.
Yeah.
So, what I advise is find a spiritual healer based on word of mouth. Never
Yeah,
search for them
absolutely.
online because there's a lot of scammers out there. I think every 2, 3 days I post on my social media about my spiritual healers, because I know a lot of my friends went online, got scammed, and then they're like, I don't believe in spiritual healing. But that's not what happened to you. Was a scammer. It's a person, it's people, it's not spiritual healing. They
Yeah.
just make it look bad. So my advice
Yeah.
is just look for word of mouth, talk to friends that are spiritual, that have been there, done that, because that's how I found my healers. If I went online, God knows where I would have been spiritually. It would like a bad experience would have broken me even more.
Yeah, so true. And you're right, there's so much out there. And I, for my followers, I always share the people that have helped me. And I've tried lots of different things, but that's why, you know, find some people have like a natural gift, don't they? And then their integrity shines through, and you just feel it when you're in their presence that they can make a change. And that they're the people that I'm drawn to. So absolutely, I'm going to find out who those people are and contact them. So I think that would be really helpful. Um, Being a single mom, I'm a single mom. I love it. My son's 14. I've been a single mom since he was 1 year old.
Oh,
We're super, super close. And, he's just everything in my world. He lights me up every day. Even, now we have an arrangement where he spends a lot of time with his dad as well. So that's tough being a single mom. And I think a lot of people that I speak to are terrified of becoming a single mum. I think it's one of the best things ever. What are your opinions? I know you've got an extremely close relationship with Maktoum. I just met him before we came on. He's gorgeous and so confident. Can you share your thoughts? And obviously, your parenting style is unique as well. And I love you to share that with people listening.
Um, okay, so being a single mom is hard, but it's not impossible. And it's such a rewarding journey because I love it. I love it. And if I had to go and do it all over again, I would still do it the same way. I would not change anything about my life. It is hard because you have to be good cop, bad cop. You have to be mom and dad. You have to be the discipliner and then the friend. So it's like usually there are two people doing that and playing that game with the child, but then you're one person doing that. So it is
Yeah.
a learning process as well. It's not something you're gifted and you know how to do. I've failed in so many things, but I pick up myself and I learn. He teaches me a lot. It's a trial and error phase, but I love it. And my parenting style is I don't go by the book at all. Like if my son fails in school, I would never do whatever my parents did to me. So I'm breaking the cycle, generational cycle. And my generation starts with me and my kid uh, to our future. We're creating the new generation. For if my son doesn't do good in school, I'm like, listen, you're smart. I don't know why this happened, but you're smart. We can work on this. I don't make him feel like he's let me down or let himself down. Because I do have my questions about the education system as well. So I try to
Mm.
teach my son most of the things at home and in collaboration with school because he needs some of these knowledges for life anyways, right? But
Absolutely.
I'm very honest with my kid. My kid does spiritual healing with me. He meditates with me. We do almost every activity together. I'm open. I take advice from him. If I am meeting a man or trying to start something, I let my son meet him so he can vet him for me. And funny enough,
I love
he was
that.
always right. He was always right. He's like, Mom, he's a good person, but not good for you, you know? So it's like children are pure source of energy. They haven't been corrupted yet. So they can pick up on energy without even knowing how. Because when I ask my son, how do you know he's bad? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I just feel it. And, I don't
Yeah.
question him. So I treat my son like an old soul that he is. And I'm honest with everything. I don't hide anything. I show him how the world is. I don't cover him in like a safety bubble where the world is perfect and flowers and rainbows. No, my son knows everything that's happening in the world. I do a lot of CSR work. I travel with a lot of organizations. He's there. He sees it all. He sees the children. He sees everything. Because I feel like one of the things that my parents did that delayed my growth process was keeping me safe from the truth. And I had to
Yeah.
learn that at a late stage. And because I was not alert to what's happening around the world, how people are, and the truth, I had to learn the hard way. So I feel like just having that transparency with your children and speaking to them about things that were never spoken to you and like taking them with you through life, it just made my kid just more wiser. If you sit and talk to him, like he is so deep, he's so alert, he's so awakened, he gives the best advice at the age of 7. And
Oh,
that's all due to how I raised him. Now, the crazy part is my son was, I did not mix him with children until my son was 4 or 5.
yeah,
I
I
don't
heard
remember. I
that.
think 4. Yeah. He was always mixed with adults because I wanted him to learn what's right and wrong, how life is, and then introduce him to kids. But I'm not saying this is the right way of doing it. This is my way of doing it. And then I introduced him to children. So when he met children at the age of 4, um, when kids would tell him, "Hey, let's throw sand at each other," he's like, "Nope, this can go in your eyes. This can cause an infection." Like he had a way more mature mind than a child would, and therefore he was teaching kids what's right and wrong. He was stopping them when they were doing something childish. he lives his life as a kid. He does the most craziest things, but at the same time, there's a level of maturity where he would never copy another child because he knows he has a personality of his own. And when something is wrong, he wouldn't do it. So peer pressure doesn't easily work with Mackie. So I feel like this method of raising him up prepped him for being a wise child and yet enjoying life as a kid.
Yeah, I love that. I really do. And I think emotional intelligence is something they
Yeah.
don't teach at school. We don't give kids those skills. And you know, some of us learn it and some of us don't as we grow up. But if you could have that as a child, and I think kids that grow up with parents that are toxic as well become hyper vigilant because they're always
Yeah.
watching and trying to figure out the next step. You've got to walk on eggshells. So I think, you know, they naturally will have that tendency and awareness. But yeah, to have that emotional intelligence at a young age. You touched on there about introducing men to your son to vet, and my son is great. He's got a great people radar as well. He just gets the energy, not even really knowing why he gets it. He's just like, no, mom, or oh, I really like that person. Um, how is dating for you now? Are you still open to finding love? Are you still, you know, excited about that?
1,000,000%. It will take more than 3 men to kill my image of love in the world, and to kill the idea that there are good people in the world. Like, no, not at all. No one can ruin that experience for me, because the only basic instinct that a person is born with is love. If a child is not touched by his mom or hugged, and love is not given to a newborn, they die. So love is the base of everything. It's the necessity for everything. So of course I'm open, but I took the decision that before I start a new relationship or journey into that I go do the healing first. Because if you really love somebody, and if you really let's say if I'm open to finding the love of my life and I want to love him with every ounce of me, the most beautiful gift you can give them is to show up as the best version of you, not just for that man in your life, but for your child as well. So I decided to do like full on healing before starting that journey, because I want to show up for that man in the best version I am. And healing would help me break from the cycle and then choose a man away from that toxic cycle that I created for myself. So I was like, I'm not entertaining anything until my healing is done.
I
So
love
right
that.
now, like, to answer your question, right now, I'm almost done with my healing. I've got like a couple of sessions left, but I feel like I am ready. So I'm just like out there and exploring and trying to see if anything is around or possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And also you're filming. I know you're dashing off in a moment to go and do some more filming for Real Housewives of Dubai. How have you enjoyed that experience? Was it a big decision to go into that? Because it's been amazing to watch.
So TV and reality TV is not my thing. So when I first was approached, I love freedom. I love traveling. I feel like that's the reason I do business. It's just like the freedom to just own your own time. So I love traveling. I love focusing on my businesses. I have 9 companies. So that, but I'm not, thank God, I'm not CEO in every single one. I'm CEO in only 2 of them. So I like to focus on my work, on my child, and then I do public speaking full time. And then I love to enjoy life, because I cannot pour from an empty cup. If I'm not enjoying life, I cannot give back to my business in a good way or be a good entrepreneur. When they came up, I was like, no way. It's not my thing. I'm an Arab. This has never been done in my country. And I don't want to do this. But then I was sitting down with myself, and I remember praying to God for an opportunity to expand my business outside of the Middle East. And God was like, here you are, you know? So God has a sense of humor and how he gives you things. So I was sitting in bed and I was like, oh my God, I did ask for this. I prayed for this. But I was like, God, why are you giving it to me in a reality TV show? But God's like, hey, you asked, ask and you shall receive. So then I told myself, you cannot reject an opportunity that came to you in this way, because I was just selected out of everyone who's local in the country. So I was like, this has been chosen, this has been given. I cannot reject it. I need to explore. And then the journey started. It was hard at the beginning to live your life with like 30 cameras around you and like 40 crew members around you. But then after like 3-4 times of filming, you get really used to it and it becomes normal. We are filming, like when I was filming, thank God I was not worried about how will people perceive me, because one thing about me is what you see on camera, off camera, at home, outside, I'm consistently the same person. I never change. I don't care about what people will think of me. I don't care about how people perceive me, judge me. Like how you see me is your issue, not mine, because I'm a spirit with a body. And if you don't like anything about me, that's or let's put it this way. If you don't like the way I look, act, that's your problem, not mine, because I am enjoying my 3D life. I'm experiencing life and I will ascend one day. So let me enjoy it the way I want. I'm allowed to do mistakes. I'm allowed to be myself. I'm allowed to make choices. This is all my basic, let's say, the basic things I was given as a human being, and I want to practice them without any distraction. And your comment or your judgment is a distraction. Therefore, it's not welcome. So thank God I had that authenticity where I was me all the time, and I didn't have to put on a show to impress anybody or to be accepted in a certain way. And I knew for sure I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I don't intend to be. So who loves me, who doesn't, doesn't. It's okay. That's how life is. It started hard, but then it became easier and easier and easier. And it's actually now I reached the point where it's really fun, because I get a platform where I can share my story, share my voice, inspire women, represent women, and just show the Western world that every stereotype they have of the Middle East is just not true. And what a blessing.
Yeah, and that is incredible. And your boundaries are so strong. I love that. I think a lot of people listening will be inspired just by that, because it is hard to be comfortable in your own skin, to be able to get to the stage where you don't mind if people love you or hate you. That's part of coming through and doing the healing work, I think, which obviously you've done. You're amazing. I mean, you do inspire so many women, and I've been watching Real Housewives of Dubai, and your strength and also your spirituality comes through, and your ability to sort of stay grounded when all that's going on around you has been quite something. My final question, sorry, my podcast is called Heartbreak to Happiness, and I think it's really important to know what happiness is for you as you go through life's ups and downs. So what is happiness for you, Sara?
I feel I'm going to say something that might sound easy. It's easier said than done, but I've lived it, I've experienced it, and it's true. Happiness is a state of mind. It's a choice. I am a happy person. I have a good life. I have a family. I have people that love me. I woke up today alive. That's on its own is a huge reason to be happy, because every single day is a new chance for you to start new, right? If you want to be happy, happiness is not what you want and not who you are, because who you are can always change, right? Where you are in life can always change. What you want might be impossible and not achievable. Anything in between that is happiness, because you're not settling for who you are and you're trying to be the best version of you, even though you can't reach where you want, but you're trying. I think happiness lies between those two. And also, happiness is the now, which is something a lot of people are disconnected from. The future and the past don't exist. That's a fact. The future didn't happen and the past already happened, so they both don't exist. People forget to live the now and they keep worrying about either the past or the future. And your life is just passing by while you're just obsessing about two things that don't exist. If you want to be happy, live the now, cherish every moment. Like, you should see me, I swear. Like, when I eat lunch, I eat my food with so much joy because it's the now. I'm enjoying it, I'm loving it. When I'm outside walking on the grass, I'm enjoying the moment. When it rains, I enjoy the moment. When my son is next to me, I enjoy the moment. I don't worry about the future or the past. Yes, of course, I prep and I live for a better future, but I don't worry about it because it doesn't exist.
I love that.
So
Such
so just live your life. As long as you're not stagnant and still, you're moving towards something, then you are happy. But if you are stuck, uncomfortable, then guess what? Comfortable is not happy.
Absolutely. I love that. And also, I don't think we do enough of that, stopping to smell the roses and see how far we've come and just enjoy where we are. Even if we are in the middle of a healing process, we're still quite a long way to go. You can still be happy in those moments. That's amazing. Thank you, Sarah. Where can people find you? Where can people follow you and find out more about the work you do?
I'm mostly active on Instagram. So yeah,
Okay.
that's at Sara_Al Madani_. That's where I'm most active. That's where I dump my thoughts, my ideas, my experiences. And that's where I give back to the community by trying to educate them.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your
So much,
time. I know
honey.
you're super
Thank you for
busy.
having me.
Oh, thank you so much. I know all of what you've said will have resonated strongly with my listeners today. So thank you so much, Sarah, for being an absolutely incredible guest.
Thank you so much.
That's it for today's episode. So do head on over to Sara_Madani_ to find out more about Sara and connect with all her work. And I look forward to you joining me on my next episode.
That's it for today's episode of Heartbreak to Happiness. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to win a free ticket to Sara's virtual Heartbreak to Happiness retreat. This is a transformative combination of live webinars with Sara herself, coupled with her empowering online video program designed to help you cope better with your breakup and start feeling happy again. Thank you, and join us again on the next episode for another dose of Heartbreak to Happiness.